What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We're back here with another one. It's still been about 3.5 weeks since I ordered my Tua jersey, and the money's been collected, but we still pending even them packaging it up and putting it pretty in a box for me. I'm joined as usual by the Jason Taylor to my Zach Thomas, Mr. EM Dolphin fan. What's good with you tonight, EM?
What's good, homie? Fins Nation. I hope everybody's out there safe. Hope everything's good with everybody. Let's get it, baby. Let's get it.
Bro, I just need that Tua jersey to arrive. I know the world is in an absolute crisis right now, but I'm still worried that it's actually going to end up actually arriving by December when it told me it would. The world is getting that real right now that it might even be February.
I love Tua Tagovailoa and everything. We all know how I feel about him as a player, but I want him to earn it. I want him to earn it, homie. But I will. I won't break down and order one as well. But
bro, the amount of to bat we went for that pick,
I get it.
And he earned it with just by fulfilling those expectations so far. Now he's just got to go put it onto the field. But I mean, we're all expecting that to happen, right?
That was just to solidify, the pick. But now that we've secured his draft rights, from now on, bro, it's about getting out there and getting it on Sundays, homie. Period.
Bro, well, it's not like the competition is at an all-time high in terms of who he's got to go to war with, right? So let's be honest.
You sleeping on Rosen, bro.
Oh yeah,
Josh Rosen, homie.
Oh yeah.
Y'all out there sleeping on Josh Rosen, bro.
He made me take a couple pills, but they weren't sleeping pills. That's for sure, bro. That guy.
Y'all sleeping on Josh Rosen.
Bro, people are going to clip this up and be like, yo, you see what he was saying yesterday?
I know, right?
So,
I can see it now.
Bro, if anyone's been sleeping on Josh Rosen, it's either sleeping, they're dead, bro. It's over. That's it. There's no sign of life. Check for a pulse.
We'll see, man. That clock is ticking, bro. We're getting closer to training camp and getting closer to the season, man. We shall see soon, real soon.
Well, actually, since you mentioned it, I guess, let's talk about training camp for a sec, because I don't know if you saw this today, but Adam Beasley reported that it's looking like training camps will be held at team's headquarters this year, per multiple reports. Doesn't change much for the Dolphins, but it does suggest that camp could be held without capacity crowds in attendance if any fans are allowed to attend at all.
That's not a surprise, though. To me, that's not much of a surprise, bro.
Just a little update on where we're at, though, with what training camp is shaping up to look like. So
yeah, no surprise there at all, homie.
We need it to be a little wide open, though, because we got a special surprise for everyone when training camp hits.
That's
we
right.
won't talk about it. We won't talk about it, but we've just been licking our chops waiting for training camp to hit.
That's right. I forgot.
Again, we got something else on the horizon that's
a real treat. A real treat.
And it's going to be consistent, and it's going to be another thing out here that sets us apart. You know what I mean? So stay tuned for that one for sure.
It's all about keeping pretty much as much as the fan base informed with accurate update, real-time information. So that's what it's all about, man. So yeah, I think they'll come training camp, they're gonna like that.
Let's just hope everything gets back to somewhat normal. So
I agree, man. I'm to be honest with you, though, not to get off into that, but man, I'm real concerned at this point. So
yeah, it's you guys are a hair away from martial law over there. Like, it's just not, and it's getting worse, man. I mean, you see these videos, the power of social media now. Every day you're seeing multiple videos. So yeah, not to go down that path once more, because we kind of covered it, but yeah, it ain't slowing up right now, it looks like, right?
No, it's getting looks like it's going to be here for the foreseeable future.
And you got to imagine there's going to be another outbreak of COVID, because
no doubt.
People,
No doubt.
communing to like coming together like that, right? So
No doubt. But I think the NFL, I don't think what's going on, barring any kind of war breaking out. I mean, troops on the ground, that kind of scenario, they are full steam ahead, baby.
Buddy,
if in the sand.
If there was ever, let alone a sporting league, if there was ever a business out there that was about their bottom line, it's definitely the NFL.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's not surprising at all, right?
No, sir.
So let's talk about something, brother. Let's talk about Mike Freeman's 10-point stance from a couple of days ago. I want to hear what your thoughts are on it. And then let's dive into the subject a little bit because, as you like to say, the buffoonery's been out there today. So this part of Mike Freeman's 10-point stance, the more compelling question isn't whether Tagovailoa starts at some – by the way, guys, it's Tagovailoa. Stop saying Tagovailoa. Please, for the love of God. Tagovailoa. Learn your quarterback's name. Holla at me. The more compelling question isn't whether Tagovailoa starts at some point this year. It's whether he will start at the beginning of it. And according to every coach I've spoken to, it's a foregone conclusion that he will beat out veteran journeyman Ryan Fitzpatrick and start week 1 against the Patriots on September 13th. It's difficult to put into words how high some coaches are on Tagovailoa. They think when they look back at this draft, he will be one of the best, if not the best players from it.
Well, we were out ahead of this. We were way out ahead of this, 2 months ago? A month ago. We talked about this before, man, about how we fully anticipate Tua to really shine if he's healthy, come OTAs, come training camp. We fully anticipated this possibility. So, again, I might be in a minority in terms of how I feel about, what Ryan Fitzpatrick did last year and him earning the starting job, earning the right to start the season as our quarterback. But again, we talked about this before. If Tua is as healthy as he could possibly be, and he's out there and he's just tearing it up, which again, I thought initially was a real, we both thought it was a real possibility. Again, Flores' words, you have to put the best 11 men out there. And so if Tua,
let's give him a timeline, EM. Okay, so me and you Nico was in the comments. What up, Nico? Love you too, brother. Hope you're staying safe. If you go back, you can say I've been banging the drum since August, okay? You've been banging just as long, okay? We started getting away from the evaluation because people were out there giving false evaluations, and you could tell they weren't watching the said film they were claiming they were watching, okay? We go deeper into it, and what was I saying right before the draft, EM? What was the new thing I started plucking out of my little cap? What was the new feather I pulled out? What was I saying? I was saying everyone needs to stop sleeping on how well he fits, not only because me and you were already saying how well he fits the offense, but I was telling everyone stop sleeping on the RPO. I was even referencing Madden for these people because for the people you talk about when they talk about stop doing that Madden Ultimate Team, I was even referencing them saying, look at the RPO, how big of a thing it's become in the NFL, right? I've been saying even installed in a game like Madden midway through because it's just starting to become more prominent. It's the new wave right now. And I was telling everyone before the draft, weeks before, I was saying, don't sleep on the fact that Chan Gailey loves the RPO and he's the best we've ever seen on film run the RPO.
I agree. You're absolutely right.
And then what happened? The draft happened. We picked him. And then what happened? The articles started coming out from all these outlets talking about how Chan Gailey's going to run the RPO.
Absolutely.
Okay? This is why we've even dug deeper in our stance that Rosen, it's over. It's a wrap for you, brother. Okay, the reason why Fitzpatrick remains relevant in this battle is because why? He ran it for 3 years, a total of 5 years between Buffalo and New York under Chan Gailey, okay? So he ran every look Chan Gailey wants to throw at you, from base to all the foreign looks that he'll make and adapt you throughout the game. Okay, so he knows what to expect. That's the thing. The familiarity of the scheme, basically how it was built for a talent set like Tua, and then the familiarity of the playbook and the scheme itself for Fitzpatrick. Everyone who wants to sit here and say, oh, they're all on even playing fields, they all got the playbooks at the same time. No, they're not. There's other factors at play here that have even pushed Rosen further down.
I agree.
Okay, because people have got to realize Josh Rosen's not athletic enough to run an RPO-based offense. Okay, let's talk about this. Everyone's pretty much agreed with how bad of a decision maker he's been and how bad of a processor he's been. What's the number one thing you need? What's the number one? I've told you this in private, EM. What's the number one prerequisite you need to be successful in the RPO? To be a good and quick decision maker.
Exactly.
Quick. You have to process quick, pre-snap. You got to know where you're going, basically.
Exactly.
You got to be prepared. Exactly. If I see this post-snap, if I see that post-snap, this is what I'm doing. You got a guy who's so far behind on the processing level, let alone the familiarity of the scheme and what they're going to be asking to do. It's not looking good for Josh Rosen. If you're a betting person, if you live in Vegas, the odds aren't good for Josh Rosen. That's just the nature of it. When you actually break down what is going to be run, that's where we are so dug deep in our stance. Okay? And the problem that Fitzpatrick is going to run into is the athleticism is near Tua's. And I guarantee you, Tua's got a little bit more zip on the ball just because it's a much younger arm.
I agree. Well, I think he's got a lot more zip on if you're comparing him to Fitzpatrick.
And so people say, well, Rosen makes a good backup. No, Fitzpatrick makes a good backup. Why? The familiarity of the scheme.
Exactly. I agree.
The familiarity of the playbook. He's already ahead of Rosen. He makes Rosen obsolete. When you talk about the Tua wins a starting job, Fitzpatrick makes Rosen you'd be carrying as your number 3, because if Tua goes down, you're throwing in Fitzpatrick. You're not throwing in Josh Rosen.
And also, bro, Tua, everything that you just highlighted, Tua has the advantage over Josh Rosen. And we're not even talking about his athleticism. You know what I mean? He's just a superior athlete than what Josh Rosen is. Again, we all know how I feel about him in terms of his talent, his physical talent. I'm not that high on Josh Rosen, never have been.
What you would have to limit because of his physical talent, brother. You would have to limit Chan Gailey's playbook to what he would run with the class option and in that spread. Whereas Tua, because of his athleticism, you don't have to. He can handle a lot more earlier than a guy like Rosen can because of the familiarity.
Exactly. Oh, the biggest obstacle, again, we talked about
terminology. That's going to be the biggest
obstacle. The only obstacle in Tua's way is digesting that and digesting the terminology and applying it on the field.
That's it. On that level, him and Rosen are going to be at the same, because it's going to be new terminology to Rosen as well. But Fitzpatrick has the leg up on both of them.
Exactly.
That's why, again, Fitzpatrick is – if Tua comes out – I'm not saying he is, because, again, Mike Freeman, to me, didn't highlight the offensive line. So, okay. So, if Tua is the starter at day one, Fitzpatrick is my backup. I mean, it's not even a question.
Oh, absolutely.
You got 1 year left in him. If something happens to Tua, you throw Fitzpatrick in there, because you got to look at it this way. If, God forbid – something happened and you're 5-1, 6-1, you want to throw in the guy who's most familiar so you can continue that momentum. You're not trying to throw in the guy who's given 2 years of QBRs under 25. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and again, we're not sitting up here saying that we want Tua to start. He should. No. I think, again, the ideal scenario The ideal scenario is to because I think Fitzpatrick earned it last year. The ideal scenario would be him to start the season as a starter, and hopefully we're winning, so there will be no need for a quarterback change so much, and just implement Tua at different stretches of the season in different scenarios, in different games. Just take the same approach the Kansas City Chiefs took. Just sprinkle them. If we're up 3 touchdowns, hopefully we'll be blowing, the Patriots out, the Buffalo Bills out, and we're in the fourth quarter, 2 minutes to go. Put him in there and let him get his feet wet. Just take that approach. But again, it's hard to you're looking at this talent, and again, we talked about this before. There will be no surprise to me if we're sitting here a month from now, 2 months from now, and this kid is just tearing up. These beat writers just, writing all of these positive reports about him, about how he's so far ahead of every other quarterback.
Dude, you warn people.
I am not going to be surprised at all.
And people know I'm the type of guy where I've said even Trevor Lawrence should sit for his first year. But the thing is, guess what, guys? I let my subjective opinion go to the side if it differs from the realistic, objective opinion. Okay? You got to, as much as what I want and what they do. I mean, we had to talk with Jason, right, when he got a little passionate.
Mm-hmm.
What we want and what they do are 2 different things. And you have to realize if the talent is just banging down the door at training camp, what are you going to do, bro?
I agree.
And I think all 3 Flores wouldn't put him out there if he wasn't 110% cleared from his doctors.
And also, Reason, me personally, I know a lot of people feel we're in quote unquote year 2 of a rebuild. I don't think so. I think our staff has transitioned into win now mode. I truly believe,
bro. What did I say?
I truly believe
from a 2-year rebuild to a 4 to 5 year window.
Exactly. I know a lot of people might differ with that, but I'm telling you now, I firmly believe that they have totally transitioned to win now mode. They really feel that they can win now, especially what happened in New England in the offseason. Tom Brady is there not anymore. All of those defensive departures from that team. So, and again, the Jets are no threat, and I'm not afraid of the Buffalo Bills either. So I think this division, Brian Flores fully believes in his heart that we have a realistic opportunity, a realistic chance of being competitive minimum. And also, I even think they think they can win the division next year. I truly believe that. Mm-hmm. So again, you have a talent like Tua. If he's out there, and again, there will be a learning curve for any player making the transition from college to the NFL. There's always a learning curve. Mm-hmm. But if Tua, and especially
just how many are there and how big are they? That's
exactly
what it comes down to.
And also, Reason, here's another nugget as well. If our running game is that much improved where it's actually a threat and teams have to prepare for it, man, that would be the ideal scenario to implement Tua, because you always have that run game to lean on. And again, we talked about this before. If teams have to prepare for the running game, and you bring that 8th, 9th man down in the box, crowd the line of scrimmage, that just creates extra space in the intermediate part of the field and further on. And we all know how Tua just feeds.
You know what, bro?
And
if Robert Hunt just pipes down and wins this right tackle position and makes no questions asked, and we only got to worry about a guy like Austin Jackson at 20 years old growing and developing, where Tua can see that oncoming traffic if Austin Jackson does get beat, I'm fine with that, bro. Roll it, because Jesse Davis will be at his natural right guard position. Mm-hmm. I'm cool with that. Karras in the middle if we can't get Warford, you know what I mean? And then Flowers left guard, and then let Austin Jackson go through its growing pains and its oncoming traffic for Tua. Roll it. If Tua wins out hands down and there's no questions asked, what are you going to say? If it's what are you going to say?
And again, I just want to be clear. As long as Tua is as healthy as he can possibly be, put him out there. You invested a top 5 pick. I'm not about babying. I'm not all about protecting. Like you had a lot of our fan base talking about, we took Rosen out because they're protecting him. Stop that foolishness. No, you are a professional. We're paying you millions of dollars. We picked you 5th in the draft. Get out there, get it done, period. And that applies to anybody.
And if he's 110%, there ain't no need to wait for 111%.
There's none. Why wait? Why wait? I see both sides of the coin, but again, my respect. Fitz earned my respect last year, bro, and I really want to see what what more he can bring to the table with an improved running game. You know what I mean? What he can do with more space to distribute the football. With a running game that you can actually depend on and force teams to prepare for in terms of bringing extra man and crowd the line of scrimmage.
And let's cover something else when we're talking about what was happening today, bro. Tua, if you really break it down, okay, Tua had the best touchdown to interception ratio in college history. He did that in the SEC, okay. We can both agree 2 things probably. One, that LSU team was one of the best teams ever. 2,
probably the best.
2, Derek Stingley should have been the top cornerback in the country, not Grant Delpin, and the only reason he didn't get it was because he was a freshman. Mm-hmm. And what did Tua do to that defense?
Shredded it.
Okay, Derek Stingley had his worst, and he was getting beat outside the numbers, had his worst game all season against Tua Tagovailoa, bro. When he came in, and let me ask you this, Ian. When he came in as a freshman and he took over and he led them to a national championship off the bench, was that Georgia team not stacked or was it not stacked?
Georgia's team is stacked every single year. Okay, in terms of overall talent, you have your Alabamas, you have your Clemsons, and Georgia is right there with them every single year in terms of talent. Every year. It's just so happened this year, LSU was just so far ahead of everyone else. From everyone else. So, again, and when they played November 9th, I remember on TD's platform, I told everybody, I said, what y'all not realize, everybody was hyping on and jumping on that Joe Burrow hype train. I said, bro, y'all need to pay attention to this team overall. This team is incredible. And people were saying,
when you actually go, guys, you can go YouTube Joe Burrow highlight packages and come back to me. Actually count the amount of highlights they are, and then count the amount of them where the receiver is wide open when they make the catch. Dude, that was he was in an offense designed for wide receivers to manufacture space, bro.
Exactly.
And the whole thing here is, guys, I hear people saying, Tua had all these Alabama receivers. Okay, well, let me ask you this, Jerry Jeudy. Where was Jerry Jeudy on that deep ball that he dropped that would have been Tua's 5th touchdown of the game and would have won the game against LSU? And if he caught that ball, Tua would have finished with over 450 yards, 5 touchdowns to 1 interception. But Jerry Jeudy missed it wide open in front of the end zone. But that's on Tua.
And also, Reason, that touchdown
he did it on one ankle?
Hey, that touchdown right there would have been the difference in the game with Alabama winning if he makes that play. He had one bad game against, if you actually break it down, and that was the Clemson game, and that's because that defense was absolutely disgusting. And again,
look at where they rank in the best defenses, top 20, top 15 defenses in the last 20 years. That Clemson defense is up there.
Exactly. Another historically great team. Another historically great team.
Part of that.
I agree, 100%. So these people that are criticizing Tua, they have to take into consideration of these 2 historically great teams. And Tua, in my opinion, I think he played extreme. He had the 2 turnovers. He had the fumble on the 3-yard line, and then he threw a pick before halftime. Those 2 mistakes. Other than that, I thought he had an extraordinary game, to be honest with you, to bring them back. And you clearly saw how they couldn't block LSU up front. Everybody's talking about how great, Alabama's offensive line is, et cetera, et cetera. But look at the trouble that they had blocking them up front.
Mhm.
Look at the trouble they had up front. I mean, Tua can get. I mean, he couldn't get. He had minimal time,
who bailed that offensive line out in that LSU game was Najee Harris.
Najee Harris, exactly.
They started giving the ball to Najee Harris.
Exactly.
It started fighting the load for the offensive line, and then Tua went to work and diced them, bro.
Exactly. And see,
you know what? How historically good Derek Stingley was for a freshman, and Tua put him out to pasture, bro.
Mm-hmm. Let him up.
And here's another thing. Cordell Flott, you're going to hear his name this year in the top 10, top 15 corners coming out in 2021. If you go back to my quarterback big board, I highlight a play where Tua uses his eye. For those who say Tua doesn't use his eye manipulation or isn't at that advanced level, he literally manipulates Cordell Flott off of his spot, and then he cuts back to, I believe it's Jerry Jeudy, and then Cordell Flott notices the cutback, starts to move, but because he moved him off his spot, now he just zips it between Patrick Queen and Cordell Flott. And Patrick Queen's a first-round middle linebacker, and he just zipped it right between them, and it was all because he used his eyes to move Cordell Flott just a couple feet off of his spot, and by the time Cordell Flott noticed Tua's eyes move back, it was too late. Tua, boom, gone right there on the money. So, I mean, I've even highlighted, you go back, you watch my quarterback, go listen to how I talked about Tua Tagovailoa. There's a reason. All these people, let me tell you this, all these people who say, if he wasn't injured, if he was healthy, he'd be the number one quarterback taken in the draft. So guess what? That's why he was the number one quarterback on my big board, because I actually watched the film. And I'll say this, to anyone out there, anyone in the YouTube Dolphins community, if you want to come on here and you want to break down film of Tua Tagovailoa and you want to go head to head with me, I'm telling you right now, you ain't gonna win that battle, brother. I don't care who you are, bro. Unless you're a Travis Wingfield or a Kyle Krabs or someone of that stature, bro, I don't think you're winning that battle, man. And I don't think you're winning it with EM, because me and EM, we've, when you look at this YouTube community, it's fair to say we probably watched the most Tua Tagovailoa film out of everyone. We just don't watch the LSU game, the Clemson game, the Georgia game. So
I agree 100%.
When you look at it at the end of the day, we were so firm and we were so dug in on him, and everyone just came at us, and then the Dolphins took him, man. So obviously the Dolphins saw exactly what we saw, did they not?
Exactly. I agree 100%.
I guess the whole Wonderlic thing, because Dan Marino, what did he score? Was it a 15 or 16?
Yeah.
Like that right there shows Wonderlic don't mean Bo Diddley.
Yeah.
So people out here who are like, yo, Wonderlic, he's dumb, they're not taking him. Where are you at? All you people that were like, yo, we need to take Jerry Jeudy with our first pick and Jalen Hurts with the second or third round pick. Where are you at, bro? Because I ain't seen that fella either since he was standing firm on cricket. And now the whole new spin is we're gonna try and sell to our community that this guy could be a turnover machine, when at the collegiate level he had the highest QB passer rating ever, and he had the highest touchdown to interception ratio ever. But now we're going to try and sell, he's going to be a turnover machine. Oh, boy.
Man.
Yo, we are
I don't see it.
In this community. That's the new wave we're riding, bro, because, that ain't it.
I don't see it.
That is not it, Chief. I don't even know what else to say.
I don't see it. But yeah, I just don't get the criticism. I get people have their own opinions.
It's unfounded. It's given by people who haven't actually sat down for hours and hours and broke down his film like we have, bro. It's coming off people who watch live broadcasts and consider that being them. Yo, this is film. Come on, son.
I agree 100%.
Come on, bro. Come on, man. I'm hearing ridiculous statements about anticipation and stuff, and you're talking about one of the guys who has arguably some of the best anticipation we've seen in over a decade. And I've gone over this how many times, EM, okay? Not only with anticipation, you can tell with zip, okay? And I've identified the slant. You can find time in Joe Burrow's slant where the ball is behind them. It's over them. Receivers got to stop and hold up.
Exactly.
You don't see that with Tua. He hits them bam in stride, and he can hit. Look at Devontae Smith is a burner. Okay, Jerry Judy's fast, but not as fast as Devontae Smith. Jalen Waddle's not as fast as Devontae Smith. He can hit all these guys at their different speeds perfectly in stride. It doesn't matter who it is.
Exactly.
And have I not gone into the accuracy plus throws? You know, accuracy plus throws in what? In the numbers, in stride, etc. Right? In the perfectly accurate spots. And he was second in the nation in accuracy plus throws into tight windows. So at the end of the day, what does that stat tell you? That stat tells you that the ball was there. It didn't matter who was on the other end of the ball. The ball was still going to be there. It wasn't a matter of separation. It wasn't a matter of anything like that. It was telling you the ball was in a position in tight windows where only that receiver could make a play on it.
Exactly.
That's pinpoint accuracy, bro.
I don't get the criticism. I really don't. Unless it's some kind of, some I don't see how it could possibly be anything personal. I don't think anybody out there knows Tua personally. But his film it speaks for itself. And again, our evaluation is always 100% on this platform is going to be always film evaluation based about players. We don't get into the personal issues or anything of that nature. It's always coming from a film evaluation based standpoint. So, but people have their own opinions, and that's, I respect their opinions. But in terms of this kid's tape, if they're trying to use
my problem is when you start trying to sell false narratives and wrong information to our community, and there's a lot of people who don't have the time to sit there and watch the film, who don't have the time to, first of all, even dig up the film to then be able to watch it. So they depend on outlets to provide them the correct information. So when you start coming out here trying to provide information that is just because of it's not you know why it's not validated? Because you don't even have to take our word for it. You could go to any legitimate scout, and they're probably pretty much going to say the same exact thing we are saying, and that ended up obviously being true because we selected the guy at 5.
Exactly, and not just with Tua, but other players we saw.
Oh, yeah, Raekwon Davis, you know what I mean? All those guys. Yeah, for sure.
Players, so.
I'm just saying, though. I'm just using that stuff, you know what I mean? We must have been pretty close to being right if they were willing to invest a top 5 pick.
Absolutely.
So, you know what I mean? The red flags you could only really call this kid out on are what? Durability, his fourth quarter action. You really haven't seen a ton of fourth quarter action from Tua Tagovailoa over his 2.5-year career, right? Those are and he sometimes has too much of a willingness to extend plays. If those are your only 3 red flags, are you serious, bro? How many of those are correctable?
I was listening to Rob Ninkovich on Get Up the other morning, and he made a bold prediction. I don't know if anybody out there heard it, but he said in 3 years' time.
Call out Rhino, because yes, I did call the Noah pick right before they made the pick. My exact quote was, watch them take the Auburn corner, and then boom, they took the Auburn corner. Anyways, continue.
He made a bold prediction. He said in 3 years' time, Tua Tagovailoa will be the best quarterback in the AFC.
Oh, I agree. No, it's going to be it's going to be between him, Deshaun, Mahomes, and wherever Trevor Lawrence, because if Trevor Lawrence comes to Jacksonville, you never know, right? It's going to be I will firmly say Tua Tagovailoa will be in the top 5, and he will be in the discussion for being the best quarterback in the NFL in the AFC 110%. I think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, bro. I've said if he stays healthy, I have already said this. I'm on record. If he stays healthy, he's going to be a perennial Pro Bowler.
Mm-hmm.
And perennial Pro Bowlers are usually in the conversation for being the best in the NFL. So, you know what I mean? I think people are going to kind of be blindsided by when they see how well he kind of adapts to this system. I'm not going to say the game speed, but I'm going to sit here and say he'll adapt to the system pretty well. And I'm not really overly worried about that transition. And I don't think anyone should be, right?
So looking forward to this kid getting on the field. Man, I can't wait to see him out there, bro. Cannot wait.
So today, just a little bit more cleanup here. The Dolphins signed Malcolm Perry. They got that done, the 7th-round pick out of Navy. So that's wrapped up. And I hear my theories coming out in the little world right now because, I was telling y'all, this could be their Taysom Hill. This could be the one they run in different packages with like RPOs and stuff like that. And I hear people are already starting to talk about it. So, that's to me, if Fitzpatrick starts, that's an option right there. Malcolm Perry is definitely an option to come in and run those gimmick packages, right? For sure.
Oh yeah. He's that's basically what his skill set suggests. He's the ultimate. He's multidimensional. I see him making a team in some capacity, and again, because of the multiple dimensions to his game, they have I can definitely see the Dolphins implementing him in the offense.
Brother, if he had
gadget capacity,
if he was somewhat competent mechanic wise. Mm-hmm. Another reason why Josh Rosen would be looking over his shoulder.
Yeah, I agree. I don't necessarily. I see with him. I see more. Well, I could see the RPO implementation, but I think I see more Wildcat implementation with him, bro. I don't think Miami's going to put him in because with the RPO, the run pass option.
But you give him the run and the option. You just
you're right.
You just don't pass the ball, bro. That's all you're saying.
Right.
Just
run with exactly. I don't see the Dolphins putting him in, especially early on.
They're gonna work.
Right.
That's gonna be where they tear him down. Is they're gonna tear that kid down to his base as a passer.
Oh yeah.
So the RPO, like the run and the option part, and then when you got the Wildcat, it's just about getting the ball in his hands and go. Mm-hmm. That's all it is, right? Like that's why I said when you use if you use 5 receiver sets, throw them out there, bro. Throw them on a quick slant, quick drag route, and boom, go. Just get him the ball quick and run.
He's definitely a lot quicker than he is fast. He reminds me a lot of Wes Welker, bro. A young Wes Welker. You look similar profile, similar body type, similar speed. They ran in a 40 time, but they are, exceptional. They have exceptional quickness in the short area. So he reminds me a lot of what I don't know how good his hands are, to where you can play him like when you're going with your spread formation to play him primarily in the slot. I don't know how dependable his hands are, but that's the only question mark with me. But he is, he reminds me a lot of that Julian Edelman or that Wes Welker type of potential receivers. And Julian Edelman was a quarterback in college as well. So obviously Flores coming from New England likes that, multi-dimensional skill set. So it'll be interesting to see how they implement him, at stretches this year. So we'll see, man.
So another thing from yesterday, all about Brian Flores, Tom Garfinkel, Chris Greer. They were all out and they were handing out food, to families impacted by the whole COVID thing going on right now. And I just got to say, man, when you add in, his statement, when you see this man, he's loading up this poor lady's car, like, that's my coach, bro. Like I said to you, like, this is another reason why I want success. I want this man in the building for 20 years as our Mike Tomlin, as our Bill Belichick, as our Andy Reid that constantly gets those passes because he even had that in Philadelphia for a really long time. You know what I mean? Bill Cowher had it in Pittsburgh before he stepped away. I want that guy man, I want this attitude. I want this energy in my building for the next 20 years, bro. What do you think?
Absolutely. Every time, the more I see Flores in situations like this, number one with his statement, that he came out with last week, and then you follow that up with, he's out there on the front lines, bro. And that this exudes leadership. You know what I mean? Leadership. And yeah, man, my respect for him as a man, number one, grows even more when you see things like this. But one thing about Flores, he doesn't just, you see a lot of coaches out there that they're all about that mouth talk, but this dude walks it. Yeah. He lets his actions speak louder than anything else. He lives it.
Yeah.
So my respect just grows for him more and more as a man.
Honestly, he's becoming my favorite Dolphin, bro. Like I want to Flores jersey,
much respect to him. There's no way. How can you not respect us? How can you not respect him? How can you not have a high level of respect for him as a man? So, and I'm just not saying that because he's a dog, because he's our coach. But I mean, man, he's all about that. He's all about that action, boss. All about that action. So, yeah, man. Every time I see I hear him talk, and just I think back to when he was first hired, and I listened to him talk when they were inquiring about his background and whatnot, and just how he was able to articulate, where he came from, his upbringing, and and he talked about how he felt, what got him to the point that he is now. He's all about that hard work, and he just exudes leadership, and that's what we needed. We needed a leader of men. We necessarily didn't need the best play caller, the best in-game play caller. We didn't necessarily need, the best. All that is important. Don't get me wrong, but I think more than anything, when you see the better coaches, the number one attribute that they have is that they're a leader of men. You know what I mean? Bill Belichick,
and they can also admit when they're wrong, and look at how quickly
exactly
he tweeted out his coaching staff. Even if you were a friend, he said, "Sorry, it ain't working."
But that's a huge that's a big quality of leadership, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're out, always have that mirror looking at you, self-evaluation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So again, leadership, and I think that's what we were lacking for so many years in this organization.
Yeah, look at Gates, everyone, they were all Philbin, they all pointed the finger somewhere else.
Right? Yeah. It was always that infighting with Ireland and Philbin and Donna Ponte and
Dude,
I believe that was
he had the worst roster out of all of them. He still got 5 wins, and he still said, "I can do better if we get rid of these guys."
Absolutely. And again, I love. I've got immense respect for him as a man, but he's still gonna have to do it, and I'm a firm believer that it will. There's number one, he's got his quarterback. That's number one. A lot of reason why these coaches
he shares a lot of the same values as him, both religiously and you can tell moral wise. And Tua also is another leader of men. But
absolutely.
Break down their values. A lot of their values are similar. And in private, remember, EM, I said to you, I asked you specifically. I remember that one time where I said, "Do you think that plays a role in terms of how heavily devout of a Christian Tua is and how devout Flores is, and not so much that they're both, believers in the religion, but because they share the same values."
But and that's just not only in
you're getting with building the culture. You can tell that's the culture they're trying to build.
Absolutely. And again, that's just not in football. That's in everyday life. You want to work with like-minded individuals. I know I do. You know what I mean? I don't want to be around people that I'm constantly, there's a different, and again, be respectful of everybody, and I respect everybody's opinion. That's fine. But again, in terms of an everyday, day-to-day grind, you're seeing people, I'm talking in terms of football, that quarterback, they're going to be joined at the hip, 11, 10, 13, 14, 15-hour days. So you want to be with individuals that are like-minded, that see not only football but see the world, because you're spending so much time together. So it just makes that relationship a lot smoother. So if you're around people with similar ideologies, similar beliefs, similar work ethic, so yeah, it just makes everything a lot easier. And again, you see the similarities between not only Brian Flores but Chris Greer, Marvin Allen as well. There's a lot of similar in terms of the mindset, very similar mindsets. So I think that's so encouraging moving forward in terms of applying that structure not only to the front office but as well as the team. And again, that's the first check mark in terms of getting on that road to success, in my opinion. So I think, again, that culture, you referenced that culture. Absolutely, 100%. So that's another reason why I didn't think Josh Rosen was a fit. And it's not color-based. It's not color-based. It's just, Rosen, we've talked about how he is, he's not the most, he's not the best guy, most fun guy to be around. He's very introverted. And again, I'm not saying that, an introverted quarterback can't have success in the football, in the National Football League. But Rosen, we've heard the multiple reports about the lack of work ethic, the sense of entitlement that he seems to have. Again, UCLA followed him to Arizona, and you're hearing him into Miami as well, servicing in Miami. So again, it's not color-based, again, because I could care less about the color of the quarterback. I want elite play at that position, no matter what color, shape, size, speed, or whatever, wherever they come from, whatever background. I want elite play there. But again, Tua has displayed the elite ability on film more consistently than any player I've seen at the collegiate level making that leap to the NFL. And again, the cherry on top is just everything else that he, as a man, and everything else that he embodies. So the similarity, that's just a cherry on top. So love it. Love it.
So let's get into some of the players we think that need to take a leap in the second year. We got 4 players we identified. One's kind of was a starter last year at times, but we think this year at best will be a fringe starter. So let's actually start with him. Michael Dieter. So,
Mr. Dieter.
We've talked about this before with how packed it's getting with Donnell Stanley being there. Now you got Solomon McKinley being there. Flowers is basically locked down that left guard position. Karras was brought in. Where do you think he stands in terms of, is he going to be a number 2 guy, or is he going to be bumped down to number 3, basically on the fringe already?
Well, I've looked at this as we're sitting here talking about this today. I think Michael Dieter, because going into training camp, he'll be the number 2 left guard, I think, because they're not going to pay Eric Flowers $10 million to sit on the bench. Eric Flowers is a better player. He's clearly a better player, even with his struggles previously in the NFL. But what he put on tape consistently last year, he's a much better player at this point. However, but I don't think the staff is willing to. I think they really want to further continue the investment on Michael Dieter, because Michael Dieter has very good traits. Again, told you, if he just needs to get stronger. He needs to get functional, and that's not uncommon for players, especially interior players on the offensive line, transitioning to the NFL. That's not uncommon. So Dieter, I love his skill set, his ability to move in space. He's shown that he's very, he's versatile. He can play pretty much all 5 offensive line positions while he was at Wisconsin. So again, if he just gets stronger, you know what I mean? And you combine that with his athleticism, his ability to play in space, man, all of a sudden we have a very, very, very good, potentially good player. And again, if you look at Joe Tooney early on in his career, Joe Tooney had the same skill set, in my opinion. They were very similar players. Tooney, again, coming into the NFL, he was not the player that we're seeing now, that a bidding war broke out just 2 months ago for his services. So he needed time. He didn't get to this point. This is his fourth year. This is Joe Tooney's fourth year in the NFL. So again, Dieter's a third-round pick. A lot of people, when he came out of the draft, Dieter had a pretty decent grade on him. A lot of people are high on his skill set. So again, Dieter, I think at this stage, in terms of if you want to get the most out of your investment, I think I was the first one to even bring this up about him transitioning to center. I said this a year ago because, again, his ability to move in space, his short area quickness, his good feet, his ability to get to the second level consistently, that skill set is perfect, is ideal for a center. So at this stage, and again, if you want to get the most of you in return at this point for your third round investment, I would have been cross training him at center a long time ago if it was me. But again, I get, we were limited in terms of what we had available on the offensive line last year. I get that, but I think Dieter can be I think he can be a very, very productive center for us. I really do, bro. But again, he just needs development. And it's not, again, I'm not ready to, I'm not ready to kill him and give up on him. And I definitely don't think the staff is. I think they like Dieter, but again, he's just not. I think he was playing, in this power gap scheme, he's just not the most ideal fit. But again, you put him at center where he's not matched up one-on-one and asked to move people, when he's isolated as consistently as he would be asked that at the guard position, I think you can get a lot better production out of him at this point. But again, I like Dieter. I'm not willing to give up on him. But again, he just needs development, bro. And that's every player, every single player in the NFL, when they're making the transition from the collegiate level to the NFL, they need development. So I ain't ready to give up on him. I like his overall skill set. Just get him stronger. He needs to hit the weight room. You heard Dante when he was on here. He said basically the exact same thing. He just needs to get stronger. And he said, I hope he's working out during this COVID-19 epidemic.
Problem is, there's a couple of really strong bull interior offensive linemen that we just picked up. So it's going to be an uphill battle.
But the thing with, I think, again, that's why I said I would rather try to implement him at the center position. And I think they're going to do that. I've seen multiple reports, and I've even heard people, other platforms even talk about this is a strong possibility, from what they were told. So, yeah, man, I like
it'll be between him and Donnell Stanley definitely for that second center spot if that is what they decide to do.
Now, if he lets that undrafted rookie come in there and beat him out, bro. Okay, well, we'll reassess Michael Dieter. We'll have this conversation again, and I might need to reevaluate him. Reassess my opinion of him. But at this point, I don't anticipate Stanley.
Stanley better hope they don't line up Raekwon over his nose, because Raekwon chewed him up when he faced him.
Oh yeah, chewed him up. So I like Dieter though. I'm not ready to give up on him. And again, he's a very good depth piece. You know what I mean? Second guy on the depth chart, left, at the left guard position, center position, very good, I think. So, yeah, we'll see how that'll be interesting too. Another backstory to pay attention to this summer. So we'll see, bro.
So we got Nick Needham on here, and one of the reasons we do,
my boy.
Not so much.
It's my guy. That's my guy.
It's because we've got him up here. It's not so much of a tell on him and his talent and where he's at, but it's just because of right now he needs to remind people who automatically have slotted in Noah Igbenogany as a number 3 guy that could potentially be nipping away at Xavier Howard's ankles if Xavier doesn't return to pre-injury form and he shows signs of injury or because they've all been lower body injuries and we're worried about him losing that explosiveness and that recovery speed because for a player like Xavier Howard that plays the way he does, that explosiveness and that recovery speed are very instrumental to his game when basically he's a little bit over aggressive in terms of being a ball hawk. If he doesn't have that anymore, a lot of people are expecting Noah's going to be the one nipping away. But me and you are both Nick Needham fans, and we're both sitting here saying, don't forget about him. But it's up to Nick Needham to take that leap this year and to remind everyone that I'm still here. And if anyone's going to take X's job, it's going to be me.
Yeah, it's no secret how I feel about this kid. It is no secret. I think Needham, if we hadn't got outside of Tua, if we hadn't selected Raekwon Davis, I think Needham would have been he was my favorite player to watch last year. But Raekwon Davis, outside of Tua, I think at this point is my favorite player on the team. But we'll talk about that on another show. It'll be another show for that. But as far as Nick Needham is concerned, love where he came from. Okay, undrafted status at University of Texas El Paso. Literally, they found him under a rock, bro. Our scouting department literally found him under a rock. So him coming to him making the team initially, then getting cut. And again, I think the reason why we saw him get relegated to the practice squad was because he didn't have his body right. I don't think, and I've heard multiple reports stating that that's what was the difference, according to him, was the difference in him of his accelerated growth in his game. And so when they brought him up, when they promoted him from the practice squad and immediately thrown into that number one cornerback role, because if Xavier Howard doesn't get hurt, who's to say that Nick Needham wouldn't have been brought up at any point? I think he would have eventually. I think he would have because we had so many holes last year in the secondary. Again, they were seeing guys working at Lowe's on Wednesday, working them out on Friday, and starting them on Sunday. So he would have been brought up at some point. But a player, undrafted status, brought off the practice squad, and immediately thrown into that number one cornerback role, because once Xavier Howard went down, he was the one, that took responsibility of the opposing team's number one wide receiver. So again, I think another year, not only scheme wise, but I've talked about, I don't think we need to go into his physical skill set and how it's him being implemented in this press man scheme. I think he's ideal in that in this press man scheme. But another year, and from the videos that he's been posting consistently throughout the offseason, this dude looks phenomenal. He looks stronger. His feet look quicker. This kid looks phenomenal. Again, another thing to pay attention to this summer. There's so many battles that we're this offseason, bro. This training camp. Oh my God, I wish I could be a fly on the wall, flying around the Dolphin facility, the field, to see these battles, all of these battles on the defensive line, offensive line, secondary, the battles between the receivers in the secondary. It's going to be must-see TV. But with that being said, I look for Nick Needham to take a bigger step this year. Again, a lot depends on the health of Xavier Howard. If Xavier Howard returns to his Pro Bowl form, Xavier Howard is Xavier Howard. It's too much you can do. But again, I go back to what I said. I think what I think the approach will be in terms of the secondary throughout the season. I think the approach of the Dolphins this year will be to try to get them 4 quarterbacks on the field as much as possible at some capacity. It's so many. Again, we talked about the different schemes, and we're gonna have a show about that here. Maybe a little down the road. But the exotics that Ballgame referenced. When you have four very good cornerbacks, you got two all-pro guys, and you got two. Needham is a very good corner, I think. With him taking that next step, and I think Noah Igbinoghene, if you're just looking at, if you're going off his tape and you're looking at his physical skill set, the expectation for him is to make significant contributions this year as well. So the approach, in my opinion, will be to get those four cornerbacks on the field as much as possible, because that. Good luck to the AFC East. Good luck to Patrick Mahomes. Good luck to all of the quarterbacks to the NFL in terms of consistently threatening us through the year. Like I said before, my only concern
what I have what the eventual goal is, guys, and not really zone, because they run zone, or as EM schooled someone on so many months ago that person happened to be talking about today, press bail. What you're trying to do, what these guys want to do eventually when they get to the man, is you want to be able to get enough pressure with that three-man front so you can play with everything behind that three-man front.
Exactly.
You don't have to send a linebacker. You don't have to worry about any of that. If you can generate, and that's what we've talked about. I mean, people who've been around, if they remember before the San Francisco stream last year, basically me and EM got into it with CD, and it was all about how he was going on about how they're going to send a fifth, a sixth man or whatever. And the thing is, that's not how San Francisco runs it. They rely on their front three to get pressure. Their front four to get pressure. They generate the pressure, and then everyone else sits in the zone, and they just work it that way. And that's why you saw Mahomes start to eat them in the fourth, because they started having to send that fifth, sixth man, and their zone wasn't as effective, and there were gaping holes that you could just exploit, i.e., why Tyreek Hill was so wide open in that throw where Mahomes, is because they were sending extra men, so the holes got bigger in zone. So he was sitting there. He was sitting there underneath. I believe it was what he was underneath the safety, but he was above the corner. So he was just sitting there in a wide gap in the zone coverage because they're sending extra men. So that's what we want to get to. We want to get to a point where we only have three. We can only send three. We can generate enough of a pass rush that we can give you exotic looks, and we can have a bunch of runners out there. So when you face a Lamar Jackson, you can line up with multiple DBs so you can match that speed if he breaks out of the pocket.
And also reason as well, what that does is allows you, when you have four guys that can consistently take wide receivers out of the game, what that does is that allows you to dial up extra pressure. Again, I've said this before.
Send the safety
about this.
Send the safety, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or, a linebacker, whatever. You can send
remember we used to kill
5 or 6 people
with Rashad on the blitz. We used to kill teams.
Oh, absolutely.
Position with that.
Absolutely. So I fully anticipate the Dolphins to be one of the top 10 teams in terms of bringing pressure, because again, we did improve our pass rush, I think, from a individual talent standpoint, but I think ultimately the Dolphins want to be in a position where they have these four cornerbacks on the field as much as possible, and they will let the scheme dictate the pressure. So they're going to be one of the most, in my opinion, and I can be totally off base about this, but I think I would not be surprised next year when the end of the year statistics come out, the Miami Dolphins are a top 5 or top 10 teams in terms of bringing pressure. Because I think if you go by off what New England does, that's exactly what they like to do. So, we saw it in stretches last year as well.
So then let's talk about someone who, when it comes to getting pressure, needs to take a bit of a leap this year. Christian Wilkins. They've added Jason Strowbridge. You've added Curtis Weaver, who we identify is probably going to be more of a stand-up edge on there. But, Boise State shifted him inside, right? So he's played it, and his pass rush, he's elite, whether they shifted him inside or whether they played him on the outside at Boise State. If you remember, it didn't matter where they shifted him. He was elite. So the edge room is starting to get a little bit packed too with some talent. And Christian Wilkins, we can both agree, his second half of the season is kind of what we wanted to see in the first half of the season, right? Do you agree that he needs to continue and he needs to take a leap because he's got young rookies basically nipping at his butt for snaps this year?
Well, number one, his first round status. Oh yeah, absolutely. Just if you're just going by his draft status, where he was selected 13th overall, absolutely you expect a significant leap in year two.
Especially when you compare it to Dexter Lawrence, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I don't necessarily think he needs to be worried about his. Well, I'm not going to say that because Flores, if you go by his work, what he's what's consistently come out of his mouth is that he's all about competition. Yeah. So with that being said, okay, yeah, absolutely, there should be definitely a sense of urgency there. But I don't think necessarily the players they brought in is threatening his position, because I think his 3 to 5 technique position in the base 3-4 alone, I think his position is pretty much solidified. But with that being said, with the additions, again, we talked about the potential for exotics with the secondary, with the addition of Noah Benogamy and obviously Byron Jones and Nick Needham in addition to Xavier Howard. I think the approach with the Dolphins are going to get exotic on the defensive line as well with the players that they brought in. Shaq Lawson, Curtis Weaver. We've seen the multiplicity in their games that they displayed on tape. I know you dug into the tape as well as I have. So you can see them, again, that's what I'll be paying attention to, again, this year, is to see how they, the implementation of different personnel groupings that they are going to present the team this year. And again, Curtis Weaver's, Agba, Shaq Lawson, Kyle Van Noy. So, but in terms of Christian Wilkins, I think Christian Wilkins is, Flores loves him. Flores came out and said that publicly. He's going to be a big part of what we do here, for years to come. So he just needs to get better at this or this. So I think the staff loves him. He's got tremendous upside. Again, multi-dimensional player, scheme diverse player. He just needs to get better. He needs to get more consistent with his pad level. He needs to get stronger. He needs to get heavier in his hands. He needs to get better with his hand placement, technique-wise. All of those issues are coachable, and all of those issues that come along with just natural development of a first-year player making the transition to year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, etc. So, love Christian Wilkins' overall ceiling. I think he is eventually he will be the Richard Seymour of this defense. If you fans out there remember how big of a piece Richard Seymour was with the New England Patriots.
Seymour, Patrick Chung, Brandon Jones.
hey, absolutely. Remember Ian?
Did you see what Kyle Van Noy said?
Yeah, I heard him. That's
Patriots we're building with the Miami Dolphins, bro.
I agree 100%, bro. But again, look at the skill set of the players that the Patriots have had, and particularly on their defense. Cross-reference that with what the players we have now. You remember last year I was consistent about our defense not looking like a New England type of defense, and I was talking about strictly from an athletic profile standpoint. Cross-reference with the additions we have now. Look at our defense now, how it, eerily compares to previous New England Patriots defenses. So again, profile similarities, scheme similarities. So I get what he's saying. I'm all for that. I hate the Patriots. I don't want nothing. But again, I want the Patriots' success. I want those championships. I want those division titles. You know what I mean? So if the comparisons come up, so be it. But I want what they were able to achieve on the field. But in closing with Christian Wilkins, love his upside, extremely high on him. Just needs to get more consistent. But at the end of the day, if he reaches his potential, he will be that Richard Seymour type chess piece to this defense.
I like it. That's you're getting me excited about Christian Wilkins, bro. It's also a bold.
What's that?
You're getting me excited about Christian Wilkins. And that's also a very bold prediction, brother, but I respect it.
But look at him last year. Look at how he flashed. He just didn't give you the consistency. He didn't give you the volume of splash plays. But that kid, he was splat. You were like, damn, is that all? He looked like an all-pro on 3 plays, and then he would be non-existent on the next 3. But again, the ability is there, but but the ability is there. Again, it's just like any player. What separates the better players in the NFL from everybody else is the consistency. So, yeah, I love Christian Wilkins, bro.
So, we talked about the room getting a little filled behind our boy Christian Wilkins. We talked about a rookie impacting Nick Needham and, people potentially forgetting about how good he was last year and that he's still here. Preston Williams. Not only is he returning from a major injury, but that receiver group, there's people in our fan base who are really high on Allen Hurns and Isaiah Ford. I am high on Kirk Merritt because of the athleticism and Matt Cole because of him as a specialist. And what are you going to designate Malcolm Perry as, a running back, a receiver, or a quarterback? So behind him, because after his injury, a lot, Devontae Parker himself stepped up massively. But a lot of other people stepped up and stepped in. Albert Wilson's going to be back. And if we are running the spread RPO offense, it's kind of more tailored to an Albert Wilson, in the slot. All these factors playing in, he doesn't return to his previous, pre-injury form, but also take a leap forward because he's also a UDFA and there's not a lot of money involved. Could he be in trouble in year 2 performance-wise if he's not, if he doesn't live up to what he was before?
I think the only threat to Preston Williams is that knee injury. I think if he comes back fully healthy, I think he because we saw the flashes last year. This kid has, all-pro ability. That was evident from training camp. You heard that come out of Xavier Howard's mouth. I've never heard any quarterback, especially Xavier Howard, seeing that high praise for a wide receiver. He said, man, that kid has the ability. That kid is going to be special. And again, he hadn't even learned his craft yet. He said last year, I was just basically going with the flow, just out there running routes. Just think of this kid, number one is health. If he gets healthy, just think if this kid actually learns the nuances of that position. What the potential is through the roof. So, but I think the staff loves him, and who doesn't love Preston Williams? We saw again from preseason, we saw the flashes. It's so much to love about this kid. He just has to get healthy. The ACL is a concern, but in this day and age, it's not as big a concern as it would have been like maybe 5-10 years ago because of the advancement of in medicine and rehabilitation and things of that nature. So, what's not to love about this kid? I think the only thing he's racing against is his health. That's it. He gets healthy, he gets that knee 100% right. And again, I don't necessarily expect him to come in and have a monster season off coming fresh off a ACL injury like the one that he sustained, because generally it takes players 1 year just to get back on the field, but it takes 2 years for them generally to get back the explosion that they lost when they sustained the injury. So with that being said, I don't necessarily expect him to have a monster year next year again. I think even if he comes out and he's just complimentary to Devontae Parker, he just provides another player, another he presents another problem for teams to prepare for, because again, that opens things up for everyone else.
And if he got his hands under control a little bit, he would have been a serious red zone threat last year too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. What's not to love about this kid? I'm rooting for him. I hope, I saw a report the other day that he's ahead of schedule. So, I also heard a report about Albert Wilson, how good he looks. They said he's got that second and third year back. They said this kid is like flying.
Oh man.
So, I can't wait to see him next year as well. I think,
I just think
Albert Wilson.
the depth, like this is another. This is going to be a hot and heavy competition for 5th and 6th, and then as the season goes on, if it is a Kirk Merritt or whatever, they could start trying to climb for more snaps. And if a Preston Williams isn't giving you what he gave you before the injury, he may lose snaps this year alone. And because of how deep our receiver core is, man, time is of the essence.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, though, bro. There's a lot of depth there. Again, not to say that Albert Wilson is – I'm sorry, not Albert Wilson, but Allen Hurns is, Julio Jones, but he's reliable. He's a reliable receiver. Isaiah Ford, provided down the stretch last year that he could be another reliable, big body type guy. And, again, I'm high on Kirk Merritt's athleticism, but I'm going to be extremely excited if he comes in and he forces the Dolphins' hands of them moving off of one of those players, of Matt Collins. Again, y'all might be laughing at me again, but I can't say his name again. Matt Collins, baby. That's another outstanding athlete. So hopefully he catches on. But Kirk Merritt, that's too much athleticism. This kid, you have to find a place for him somewhere.
Well, and another person a lot of people are talking about is Gary Jennings.
Yeah, Gary Jennings as well, bro. And we still have Ricardo Lewis on the roster as well. Nobody remembers him, but he's been hurt the last 2 years. Very fast player. Another 6, I think he's like 6'1", 6'2". Very good size. Very fast player. Him and Greg Jennings. So it's a logjam there, and it's the reason why they've held on to Lewis 2 years now. It's 2 years. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what he looks like. So yeah, that's another camp battle that I tell you, man, is going to be very entertaining.
This team's not going to wait around for him to get his legs back under him if he doesn't have it.
Who was that? Preston Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, reason they shouldn't wait around. No, absolutely not. If he's not up to speed, no, we'll find somebody else. We'll get somebody else in that position, and once you get up to speed, you have to you get healthy. You have to get back on the field and prove yourself. You got to prove your worth. So they shouldn't wait on anybody. No, you never wait on anybody. No. Get right, get healthy, and we'll reevaluate you and we'll have this conversation again at some point down the line. But no, this is not a wait and see approach league. No, by any means. Get it done, get healthy, and we'll sit down and talk. But no, they shouldn't take that approach with anybody. If you're not up to speed, you're going to get left behind, period. And that applies to every position on this 55-man roster. So, absolutely not. But again, I'm rooting for him. I love his ceiling. I love his skill set. I'm just salivating at the thought of having him, him and Devontae and having Tua as a quarterback with a competent offensive line and running game to fall back on, as an option, man, because I think we could be looking at them, having multiple 1,000-yard seasons. You know what I mean? Like Tampa Bay had with Mike Evans and Godwin. So I think obviously Devontae Parker has that skill set, but Preston Williams does as well. And who's to say if Preston Williams hadn't gotten hurt last year, he was ahead of Devontae Parker in every statistical category. Who's to say that he wouldn't have had that same production, those numbers that we saw Devontae put up? Who's to say that he, at the end of the year, if he would have stayed healthy, he wouldn't have been the one that had a 72 catch season, 1,200 plus yard, 9 touchdown season? Who's to say that? He was our leading receiver when he got hurt. So obviously, and again, the kid hadn't even learned his position yet, just out there running routes. So again, I hope he's again. I told you, I read that report the other day that he was ahead of schedule, so that's encouraging news. But I love Preston Williams, love that kid. So that's another backstory to pay attention to come training camp this summer, to see how he looks, see if he can get And I don't think they should. The Dolphins are in a position where you need to try to rush him back. No, because I think this kid. I think they look at him as a big, piece of what they want to do down the road, and they need to just let him come along. I don't think they need to rush him back because now, if Albert Wilson is what he was, if he comes back and he has that second gear, he can play the boundary. And we saw how good he was on the boundary. Albert Wilson is a complete receiver. He's not just a slot guy. He's a complete receiver. And we saw how, and he brings that. If he has his wheels back, we all know how he can get deep on anybody at any time.
He's the perfect weapon for this RPO, and he's the perfect weapon for a guy like Tua, bro, because he is the prototypical. If you were going to build an Alabama receiver, it would probably look something like, in terms of what Tua just played with, at the pro level, it would look something like Albert Wilson. So
yeah, so I wouldn't. I'm not. Again, I'm not saying wait on him. Never take the wait and see approach in terms of the team overall. But I'm not rushing him back because I deem him as a big piece, a big future piece. And again, his health, his development. I love Devontae Parker. No disrespect, homie. But I'm looking if Devontae Parker has another good, very good year. I'm looking into the offseason next year. I'm looking to possibly entertain offers for him. After this year, he's got a very team-friendly contract.
And especially with how heavy next year's draft is with wide receivers.
Oh, wide receivers as well. Exactly.
If everyone thought this year was something, I mean,
exactly. You could possibly flip him for a second, maybe not a first, because I think he'll be 29 years of age, I think, going into next year's offseason. So that might be, we might get dinged a little in terms of his trade value. But we definitely, if he has another productive year, we definitely, DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, man, I still can't believe how he was traded for a second round pick, bro. Wow. But
bro, if you want a good film study, side note, if you want a good film study, just like a little light dive, bro, you need to go watch Rondell Moore from Purdue. Like, not a lot of people have heard of him because he went to Purdue, but go watch this kid as a receiver, bro. This kid is a freaking monster, bro. Like, and you look at the talent. A lot of people know the Devontae Smith, the Jamar Chase, even the Jalen Waddle. But you look at the talent behind them, like another kid, bro. You know how I was really high on Tyler Johnson from Minnesota? Remember I kept saying, oh, I want to draft him. Well, bro, he's not even the best receiver. There's a kid there, another film study if you want to do to kind of familiarize with beyond the big names. Rashad Bateman, bro, from Minnesota. Check this kid out, bro. He is absolutely disgusting. So next year's draft, wide receivers, if you're moving off everyone, it's so deep next year, bro. So
yeah, again, he has another year.
Has another big year like last year. It's not unrealistic because of how fair that contract is that you could flip him for a first.
Yeah, exactly.
A late first.
Exactly. So again, gives you options. So have him, and then your all the players that you have this year as well. If you wind up flipping him next year, you can select one at some point in the draft. The wide receiver position, again, like you just alluded to, is going to be deep. So yeah, just gives you options. And again, I love, if you listen to Devontae, got number love for you, homie. Much respect, always respect to you. But it's at the end of the day, this is a business. And if we're sitting here in next year's draft, 2 days before the draft, and we feel, and teams are calling us, willing to give up a first round pick for to obtain his services, I'm definitely entertaining that. Definitely.
Yeah, agreed. So we're almost coming up on the hour and a half mark, bro. Why don't you
Did
let?
you,
No, we're not gonna open it up. I'm gonna. I got some stuff I got to deal with. So why don't you let people know what's going on tomorrow night, because we will be back tomorrow and we got something different going on, bro.
tomorrow night? Tomorrow. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh yeah, that guy. What's his name? He goes by. Um, hmm. Oh yeah, the not so great one, Devore. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, homie. Tomorrow we got a real treat for everybody. Special guest. We got. I'm sure a lot of people in the Dolphin community know him as the Great One, Devore. We're gonna have him on tomorrow. We're gonna kind of. Well, actually, we're gonna give him an opportunity. Well, we'll discuss that tomorrow. I don't want to give away the show, but we're just gonna kind of pick his brain and see where his mindset is as far as where the Dolphins, the status of the state of the Dolphins, where we are today, and what his expectations are for this year, et cetera, training camp. So, yeah, it's gonna be a real treat tomorrow. Y'all know him. Y'all know the work, the very good work that he does. The you know, very good content that he puts out on his channel. So, I'm sure a lot of y'all are familiar with him. So, yeah, it's gonna be a good show tomorrow.
Hey, yo, I'm a fair warn you right now, Great One, because I know you're gonna listen to this. Don't bring that Josh Rosen foolness out here, bro.
I'm telling you now, bro. Yeah. Hey, don't bring that Josh Rosen foolishness. Don't do it. Don't do it. So no, it'll be good. I know he, him and TD. I think, a lot of our fan base. The reason why, there seems to be this undying loyalty to Josh Rosen for some reason. I credit that to TD and the Great One, because I think they're still high on Josh Rosen's skill set. I don't know why, based off what this kid has shown on tape. I'm just going strictly off the tape, primarily off the tape. So, but we'll see. It'll be interesting to see, why he thinks it's not time to scrap that Josh Rosen plan. So, be a good show tomorrow. Can't wait.
And guys, I hope you all tune in. We'll let you know the time tomorrow on Twitter, but it's going to be a good one with Great One Devore. And we just want to say, with how hectic everything is out there, guys, we're all Dolphin fans, man. We all got each other's back. We're going to get through this, man.
Absolutely.
The times are tough. It's just we all got to stay united and not stay divided, bro. I just hope everyone stays healthy, safe, and just out of this mess. You know what I mean? So, anything else you want to say before we get out of here, Yam?
No, man. Again, as always, appreciate everyone. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the support. Y'all already know what it is. All day, every day, baby. You know what it is. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. So, guys, I want to thank everyone. There you go. I want to thank everyone for coming out, spending some of your Tuesday night. We'll be back tomorrow night with Great One Devore. You're probably not going to want to miss that one, guys. It's probably going to be a real good one. So, everyone has a good night, and we will see you guys tomorrow. And as usual, y'all already know what it is.